CarolinaPrepper.com. If you're looking for quality food storage for hiking, fishing, hunting, basic survival needs, or just for everyday use, check out our food storage line at CarolinaPrepper.com. We also carry other fine quality products, such as our can concealment holsters for men and women. Keeping your firearm under cover and within reach puts confidence in your hands in any situation. Our products are 100% American made. Check us out today at CarolinaPrepper.com.
Knowles on the news. Susan Knowles.
And hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Knowles on the News. A lot to talk about. I don't know if you're like me and sort of getting tired of hearing about the NFL and all of their, their lack of playing sports, and they're more concerned with taking a knee and making a political point and not doing what they're getting paid to do with that as athletes. I don't know. Are you tired of that? Because I'm getting really tired of it. And I know it's something that, if you talk to different people, they have different reasons why they either support or don't support the NFL. I think most people that I've spoken to, certainly, and most people that I've seen on, different reports, they're very upset, and rightfully so. I think anybody who is pro-American finds this very upsetting. Now, there, of course, are people who are going to say, well, this has nothing to do with America. It's all about race. And I guess it really, when it boils down to it, doesn't really matter because the point is this is football. You're supposed to be playing out there on the field. And instead of doing that, you're giving me a lot of your personal political viewpoints. And you know what? I don't care about your personal political viewpoints. What I care about is, are you going to play football or not? Now, I'll be honest with you. I love football. I love the strategy of it. I love the game, the excitement. Love to go see the games. Love to watch them on TV. On and on and on. I haven't watched football since Colin Kaepernick took a knee. I turned it off then. When the first person took a knee and started taking up my time with his political views, I said, I'm done. Now, do I care that Colin Kaepernick has a political viewpoint? No, I don't. In fact, I know we differ on that, but maybe he's got another political point of view that I could possibly agree with. I don't know. I doubt it, but let's just say I could. I might even go and listen to him at a rally or something and speak. Now, I know that I wouldn't because I know that we don't have anything in common. But I'm saying if that were true and we had something in common, I might even go and hear him speak. It's not the point. He can have a point of view. And he's also free to take a knee during a game, after the game, before the game, whenever he wants to. He can absolutely do that. This is America. We are free to do whatever we want to do. However, there are consequences for certain actions. See, I think people get confused. When you say he's free to do whatever he wants, they automatically go, oh, that's right, he's got a First Amendment right under the Constitution to take a knee, to express himself. No, he doesn't. And I think that's where everybody gets confused. And I'll talk about that in a little while because it's the most confusing type of issue. Even for some attorneys that I've talked to, they don't get it. My point is, football is not about what you want to do. Colin Kaepernick or Baltimore Ravens, whoever, whatever team that I'm talking to in football who took a knee. See, you can do that. But we, as your fans, the ones who pay your salaries because we buy tickets, we don't like it. Why? Because you insulted us. Number one, going to London and taking a knee and disrespecting your country, and yes, I said your country, in a foreign country is inexcusable. Dixie Chicks tried that, and all their CDs were put underneath a steamroller, and broken, and they kind of went out of business. You disgraced your own country, and you stood for God Bless the Queen. Why didn't you take a knee during that? Why? Oh, I don't know. I guess you didn't want to embarrass. You didn't want to seem rude to people in London, but it was okay to do that to your own country. So all of a sudden you found a good judgment, like, oh, let's not be rude during a football game. Yeah. And you certainly should have remembered that when you were taking a knee at our football games in America. But no, you didn't. First, that was again, inexcusable for you doing that. And for all of you other people who were taking a knee, inexcusable. And I like the fact, to be honest with you, I like the fact that the ratings are way down. And Thursday's ratings, they've already, from last season, they're way down. And they're continuing to drop. And I'm glad. I'm really happy about that. I'm also happy that the advertisers are saying, whoa, you know what? This isn't helping us very much, because people are calling us and they're complaining and they're not happy. And when our customers aren't happy, that means they're not buying from us. Budweiser, I think, is about a $1.6 billion advertiser with the NFL. And they're not happy. And you know what? I hope Budweiser gets so many calls from people, and they put so much pressure on the NFL that the NFL has to change their ways. Will they? I don't know. They're pretty arrogant. And why are they arrogant? Well, partially that's our fault. I'll have to be honest with you. It's our fault. We put these people up on a pedestal. And we've done that for a long, long time. We have said we value what you do so much that we're willing to make millionaires out of you. And even the worst player gets about $450,000. Give me a football. I'll go out and try my best. Pay me $450,000. I'll do it. And I won't be taking a knee. So we've put them up on a pedestal. And not only do they think, well, I'm so great at what I do, but now it's gone to their heads. Oh, well, I'm so great. I'm me. I'm whoever football player that we're talking about. And so I'm so great, and I'm going to use my platform because I have such a huge platform, a huge following, huge advertisers behind me. I can do whatever I want to do. And you, the fans out there, you can stick it. You can sit there and take it. You know why? Because you love me so much, you'll be willing to put up with my BS. And the fans are saying, oh, really? Is that what you think? And they're starting to turn against them, as they should, in my opinion. And because we've put them up on the pedestal and we've made them so egotistical, this is what we're reaping what we sow, right? We should never have put so much value in a sport over other jobs, such as, teachers, doctors, police officers. Shouldn't they be valued more than what they are? Shouldn't a doctor, I know one doctor was saying that he gets about half of $450,000. And some of you may say, well, that's even too much for a doctor. Well, I don't know. Doctors that save lives, doctors that go to medical school, it takes a lot of 8 years? It's a long time. They go through a lot of studying and everything else to do what they do. But police officers, they get paid horrible amounts of money and salaries, and so do the teachers and people that are supposed to be teaching our children, right, and how to be great adults and helping parents do that job, although I think it should be the parents' job, not the school, but, that's me. But maybe this is a good lesson for us in America. Maybe it's a good lesson for us to reevaluate what we put so much credence in. It's almost like idol worship. with some of these NFL players, and meaning that we look up to them. We have been role models. We have spent, for some people, thousands of dollars with season tickets, with going there and tailgating, buying all of the jerseys, the jackets, and everything else. And now what are fans doing? They're burning them. And they might as well have just burned their money. It would have been easier, right? Not to give money to these people. And think about it. And we can all probably say that we're into that, whether it's football or something else. We give a lot of money to organizations like that already have tons of money. That money would have been better spent in a homeless center, on homeless veterans, in a church, in another organization, or just you going out and, let's say you buy something for the homeless people and go hand it out yourself. I know in some states, California probably one, you can't do that legally. They don't want you to feed the homeless or anything else, but you get the point. Our attention, our focus has been on the wrong thing. Putting that much value in football needs to be reevaluated, like I said. Should we be giving these people this much? Should they be paid these types of salaries for doing what they do? And I heard somebody make an argument yesterday, and it was a valid argument in a lot of respects. Now, they were talking about a lot of people trying to make this all about race, and I get it. Colin Kaepernick started out with that. Oh, it was, white police officers are killing black people in record numbers. Well, the statistics don't show that, but okay, let's just go with that argument for a minute. A lot of people are saying, if you look at that, there are predominantly more black players than there are white players on a football field. I guess that's true. As I said, I haven't watched football since Colin Kaepernick did it, so took the knee, so a lot of things are going to change. But people are saying, why is it that in a lot of respects that the only way we look at sometimes black children, that the only way that they can succeed is through sports and things like football? Are we not doing our best in helping African American children and other children in general? Now, people may say, well, yeah, but, look at all the money they're getting. It's a really good thing. I can't deny that. But at the same time, why aren't there more people in general, whatever race that you're from, in the STEM program, in science, technology, and things that really matter, again, that can improve lives? Why do we put so much emphasis on sports and paying those people when we could be improving life for everyone by helping our children learn other industries? And again, I thought it was kind of a good point that they brought up about that. Now, I know that Jerry Jones, the owner of the Cowboys, he thought he could have it both ways. He thought he could go out there and please the fans and please his team at the same time by locking arms and taking a knee before the game. Well, you can't have it both ways, Jerry. You gotta make a stand, one way or the other. And you really screwed up in a lot of respects. I know a lot of people who are die-hard Cowboy fans who said he screwed up. And they never got over him firing Landry. And now they're like, okay, now I know why we don't like him. So it kind of brings it all back when he does this. And so, but then there are other people who are, as I said, diehard Cowboy fans, and they're like, they're making excuses. Well, it was before the game, and he really didn't, wasn't during the game. He made a political statement with his team on the football field while they were in uniform, right before the game, close proximity to a game that's going to be played, however you want to say it. To me, that's an excuse. You want to watch football? Just say, look, I'm going to ignore all of it because I love the Cowboys and I'm going to watch the Cowboys. To me, that's more honest. Just say that. I'm okay with that. I wouldn't do it myself, but, you've been honest with me, so I'm okay. But it was a political statement. It's a political statement made by a football team. Now, according to what I've read, President Trump has contacted Jerry, and Jerry has assured him that they will be standing for their country. Okay, well, in Jerry Jones's eyes, he was standing for his country last week when he stood, or when they took a knee before the game started. And so he saw that as, well, we stood for the Pledge of Allegiance, we stood for the national anthem, so we are standing for our country. So I don't know if President Trump and Jerry Jones see things the same way. I guess we'll find out. Meantime, again, I'm still not watching. And I had some hope last Sunday when Alejandro Villanueva on the Steelers team, what is he, a veteran of I don't know how many different, Afghanistan, Iraq, on and on. He stood there when his team stayed inside the locker room. He stood up, put his hand over his heart, and participated with the national anthem. I'm thinking, man, finally, we're going to get a veteran who understands, that he fought for our right to stand and have, the national anthem. Some people would say, yeah, and he stood for our rights not to. Okay, that's fair enough. But we still, as fans, we have the final say on the football team. On the football, when you're playing out there. We're the ones that hold the purse strings, so we have the final say. But anyway, getting back to him, I was thinking this is great. This guy is going to show leadership. He's going to show us all that this is why you're standing. That, there are people who fought and died for this flag. This is why you need to get off your knee and do something and stand there. And I always tell people, you know what? You don't need to participate. You don't have to say the words and mean them or, whatever. What you need to do is stand and be respectful. It's what they did in England, right? They were respectful. I don't think they believed in God save the Queen, but they sure stood for it, didn't they? Well, you can show the same respect by standing over here in America on your football field. Don't participate if you don't want to. Don't even sing. But get your butts up off the ground, off your knee, and stand there as respectfully as you can. And hopefully it will be enough. But, sad to say, Villanueva, probably after enormous pressure from his coach, from his teammates, and who knows who else, probably, I don't know, maybe threatened to let him go. Who knows? Comes out the next day, I need to apologize. I embarrassed my coach. I apologize to my coach. I apologize to the players. I apologize to, the sand and the moon. Whatever. I was so disappointed. Really, really disappointed. See, I think his coach embarrassed him. I think his team embarrassed him. I think his coach and his team owe him an apology because he's a veteran. He's the reason that they can get paid millions of dollars playing football, that they have an opportunity to be in a land that's free for them to play football and for them to take a knee or whatever they feel like they want to do. So they owe him an apology in my mind. And again, I was really sorry that he caved. And people are saying, yeah, but he would have lost his job and blah, blah, blah. And maybe that wasn't the time to take the stand. I don't know. I don't know. And, maybe once again, that's what happens when you pay people so much money. Their morals, their ethics, they go out the window. And all that's important and all that is the focus is the money. And I'm not saying people shouldn't be paid a lot of money. Great. The more you get, the merrier. That'd be great. Pay me the money if you want. That's fine. But I'm going to remember my morals. I'm going to remember my ethics. I'm going to remember my God. That's where my focus needs to be. And maybe people are saying, well, this isn't important enough. Maybe this is not important enough to be a God issue or a moral issue or an ethics issue that means losing your job over. I don't know. I don't know. But I tell you, I would be standing. I know that. And I think I've told you the story. When I was a kid, and I say kid, it may have been high school, maybe a little bit earlier. I was a rebellious kid, okay? An independent soul. I know you never would have guessed that. But I remember deciding that I wasn't going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Not because I didn't believe in the words of the Pledge of Allegiance, but because, I was going to show everybody I was independent. I think I was maybe 16. So I was going to show everybody, oh, look at me. I can do what I want to do. Well, the teacher should have pulled me up by the scruff of my neck and said, get yourself on your feet. She didn't. And I only did it probably once or twice just to make a point to show that I could do it. And again, I look at that and I look back at it and I say, one of the things, I was a kid. I didn't know any better. Maybe I should have known better, but I didn't know any better. Now, of course, you wouldn't be able to pull somebody up off the seat today. As a teacher, you would go to jail for that. I get all that. And I'm not suggesting that anybody, again, has to say the words of the Pledge of Allegiance. Even that, even in school, I do think you should stand up and show respect for what is being done. It'd be like going to a wedding. And I know this is on a much smaller, more insignificant scale. But going to a wedding and everybody stands up when the bride comes in. And you're like, I'm not going to stand up. I don't even like the bride. I'm just here because I got invited and I know somebody. No, you need to stand up because that's the decorum and you need to show respect for that. It'd be the same if you went to somebody else's church and they do something. You may need to stand up. You may not need to participate in it, but you need to be respectful. And that's kind of another thing that we've lost. Again, when you make so much money, I guess, and you put on a pedestal, you suddenly feel that you don't need to show respect for things. And the fans are reminding them, oh, yes, you do. And I'll tell you, we've also gotten other people now that have gotten into the fray. And I'm a person, I boycott. I really do. You do something I don't like, I'm not going to watch your games. I'm not going to buy your games. I'm not going to buy your T-shirts. But now we have sprinkles, cupcakes. And those cupcakes are really, really good. But they got into the fray and they put take a knee and they're supporting the NFL. Okay. Sprinkles, you just lost my business. And you're not getting it back. I don't forget what people do like that. Starbucks, I haven't gone to Starbucks in years because of their policies. And people say, well, gosh, how can you do that? You're giving up a lot. Now, I'm not giving up a lot. I don't need those things anyway, but I'm not giving up a lot. I love cupcakes. I love sprinkles cupcakes. I love football. I love coffee. But you know what? It's not worth it to me for my morals and my ethics to go in and say, I don't really care. I'm just going to do it anyway. I can't do that. And I'll tell you, it's getting harder and harder because just about every place now that you try to go to, they're forgetting about their morals and ethics. They're forgetting about the customer. They're forgetting that the customer is always right. And the only way that you're going to teach these people about that is in their pocketbooks. That's the only way that they listen. And so that's what we have to do. And I like the stance that a Louisiana bar took. New Orleans Saints, they are huge, as you know, down in Louisiana. They have a quarterback from San Diego. They should be. Just kidding. But the bar owner said, you know what? We're not going to be showing the game in here tonight because NFL took a knee. And you know that bar lost a lot of money, potentially. Unless there were people like myself and many of you who said, good for you, bar, we're going to come there and have dinner instead. We don't need to watch football. We'll watch something else. I'm sure there's something else on we can watch. And I really liked, I heard this, I don't know if this is a rumor or real, but I think it was pretty real. The owner of the Green Bay Packers had some choice words I can't say on air about the NFL. And he said, you know what? If this keeps up, I'll sell the Green Bay Packers and I'll put my money into something else that's more worthwhile. I'm not going to have them disrespecting my flag and my country. Good for you, Green Bay Packers owner. Good for you. You know, I look at this and I think about what is it that makes people so angry? Yes, it is about disrespecting the flag and our country. But it goes deeper than that too. It's about being sold out. It's about being disrespected. It's about being let down. It's so many things all in one. You know, sports was a way for Americans to come together and not be, split apart as we are right now with the political actions taking place instead of football. But families used to come together. Our neighborhood used to come together. People of all colors, races, all ethnicities would come to enjoy the game and hang out with each other and talk about the game. They could take their mind off of their problems. There weren't racial issues. And by the way, like I said a while ago, if it's true that there's more African-American players on football teams, guess who's watching them more than other African-Americans? White people. White people. So this whole racist thing, if white people hated black people so much, why are they watching them on football? They certainly don't have to watch their football games. And I find that this is just another tactic for the left to use to push their agenda about racism, about white privilege, which I told you came over into white supremacy now. So you don't hear about white privilege all that much anymore, right? That's a couple of months ago, right? It's in the past, way long time ago. We talked about white privilege. And see, that didn't work, so we had to step it up. We can talk about white supremacy. And I saw this the other day, when Press Secretary Sarah Sanders was answering ridiculous questions, of course, from the press about what President Trump said about the SOBs need to be taken off the field. Now, a lot of people say he shouldn't have said SOB. Okay, I don't know. Yes, it's true. He probably shouldn't have used those words. But all of us were, myself included, not very good of me to do this, I know. But I'm sitting there going, yes, because I'm tired of watching these people do these things. And I say these people, I'm talking about spoiled brats who pretend to be out there trying to make a political point and while they're getting paid millions and part of the 1% that the left supposedly hates. But anyway. So I think that, in President Trump doing that, he wanted to make a point because it is an agenda that the left is pushing. Because now that what they're doing is they're saying President Trump, he's a white supremacist. They believed he was a white supremacist before Charlottesville, but certainly after Charlottesville, because he blamed everyone, including white supremacists, but he wouldn't say just white supremacists, showing you all the more that there is an agenda, like black is good, white is bad. And it's like, excuse me. We are all people of the same God. I know some feel that way, some don't. We're all brothers and sisters in this together. Nobody made this about skin color, and I have to say this, until Obama came along. We really didn't hear it, but he turned up the juice on that. And so they've all gotten on board of that. The left has gotten on board. And when Sarah Sanders, the press secretary, was fielding these questions, she said, this isn't about race. It's about patriotism and standing up for the flag and for your country. And I actually saw this African-American woman, at least her profile picture showed that she was, on Twitter calling Sarah a white supremacist. So again, it's okay now. Just if you're white, because of the left pushing their agenda, now you're a white supremacist. And it's just done to divide us all that much more. And now, again, on a game that used to bring us together, where we used to sit together and have a great time talking about things that family, God, country, we can't do that anymore. Because the left doesn't want us to be united. They want us to be divided. They always have. Since the beginning of the left and right, they've always wanted to divide us. And they've done a great job. And so they're continuing to push this. And it's sad because people are falling for the trap. And you look at these football players, again, these millionaires, many of them have drug issues, beat their wives, beat their girlfriends, criminal records. And again, these are the people we're supposed to hold up as role models to our children. Really? America, you need to look at this again. You need to reevaluate. And I'm really glad too. People like DirecTV have said, we'll give you your money back on your NFL packages if you are doing this because they took a knee. And a lot of people are like, yeah, I want my money back. I'm not watching these people. They lost a lot of money. And I think that if you look at people, if the NFL, and I know there are people in the NFL that do good work for their communities. I've seen it. LaDainian Tomlinson used to do a lot of great things. Phillip Rivers and other Chargers that when they used to be in San Diego used to do great work for the community. And they still do. And other football players, they do. The majority of them, I don't know. I don't think so. But what I would say is if you really want to help, if you really are interested in what's happening, and again, it started out, it was Colin Kaepernick, this is about white cops killing black people. And then it went from that to, I'm doing this against President Trump because he said take the SOBs off the field. And then it went from that to something else. So, but if you really want to help racial issues or any other issues, if you're really interested in your community, why don't you get out there and actually help people, help individuals? And I'm sure there are black kids, white kids, Hispanic kids, Asian kids that would love someday to go to college. Why not pay for their tuition? Why not put that in a trust account for them? Why not take a group of kids and do something with it? I mean, if you're truly, truly, truly interested in changing the world and making a positive difference, your knee ain't going to cut it, as they say. Your knee is going to do nothing. But your celebrity, your money, would be able to help a lot of underprivileged children. And I would say, you know what? Stop looking at their race. Stop looking at the color of their skin. Why not help the child? Because the child needs help. You could spend a lot less time on your knee and a lot more time standing with the children that need your help. And I'm telling you, I was, once again, and I shouldn't have been disappointed, but I was. When I saw members of Congress, now they've got to get into it. Oh gosh, it's coming up on election year. What are we going to do? Oh, I know. Let's do everything we can to go against the president. Because, Maxine Waters, impeach, blah, blah, blah. But then claims I never said to impeach him. Maxine Waters is so shameful. She went to a eulogy recently, and she got up and was supposed to be talking about the guy who had died. But what did she do? She breaks into a political rant about Donald Trump. How shameful is that? I hope her family somehow forgave her. I don't know what happened. And there were actually people there, cheering her on. Okay, people were at a eulogy. What about respect for the dead? Okay? Get me Maxine Waters. Just like, I should never talk about her. But anyway, Sheila Jackson Lee, Texas. Texas is Maxine Waters, right? You think only California has Maxine Waters? Well, Texas, you got Sheila Jackson Lee. You must be so proud. But Sheila Jackson Lee talked about how Donald Trump came out and said, take the SOBs off the field, whatever. And immediately, what does she say? Well, that's racist. I know, don't try to figure it out, okay? The logic in that is just woohoo. Seriously. Somebody is going to now say, okay, if you're an SOB and somebody calls you that means that person is a racist. And what, of course, she's trying to imply is that a lot of the people who are taking the knee and the predominant players on the NFL, they're black. And so, therefore, if he called him a name, that means he's a racist. And racist equals Donald Trump equals white supremacist equals all white people. Oh, Sheila, shame on you. But then, of course, she gets down on her knee. Oh, I'm going to take the knee too. Oh, great, Sheila. Woohoo, great. Now stand up and try to do your job. Try to do something for Texas instead of being, making a spectacle out of yourself on the House floor. And then she had to top that off, cap it off with, and I talked to one NFL player. Was that an underprivileged NFL player, Sheila, or was that one of the multimillionaires? Which one was it? Of course, she didn't say. But she said that this NFL player said, from now on, he's going to be taking a knee because President Trump insulted his mother. Because President Trump called his mother the B word if he's the son of a B. Oh. And you wonder why we're in the shape we're in America. There you go. If you got an agenda to push, you will make a mountain out of a molehill, as they say. You'll make something out of nothing just because you can, just because you have a platform. You'll abuse your platform, whether it's in football or on the House floor, if you're Sheila Jackson Lee and other Democrats who did it with her. And it's disgusting. I'm beginning to think people in Congress, all they do is they show up and make themselves look bad, and then they go back to whatever state they're from, and they do no work. I really don't see them being that productive, ever. But, again, we've taken something good in sports, and it's been diluted into something that's not good, okay? You only have to look at now. Now we've got the allegations in the college basketball, where they just recently made 10 arrests for fraud and corruption and bribery. For, I know a couple of, at least 4 assistant basketball coaches were arrested from schools such as Auburn, Southern California, Arizona, Oklahoma State. And there was one coach that used to be a former coach at San Diego State University. He's also been arrested. This is where sports is taking us. It's about the money. It's about what can we get off of it. It's not about the sport anymore. It's kind of like where our politics went bad, where Congress went bad, when we had all of this money from lobbying. We weren't doing our jobs. We were filling our pockets, as Congress people. We're not out there for you, the American public. We're out there to see how much money we can put in our pockets. And shamefully, that's where sports seems to be going as well. at least with the college basketball. And who knows how much more is going on we don't know about. So, maybe there's something there. Maybe we should stop watching sports altogether. Maybe we should take sports back to where it was when it started. Kids out there playing on the ball field. Maybe their parents playing on the ball field. And just leave it there. Find something else to invest your money in and your time. Because maybe that's just not it. And, like I said in the beginning, a lot of people have said, but this is about free speech. This is about free speech rights. Okay, so let me get back to that. There is no free speech right under the First Amendment on a football team. I hate to break it to you. But there has to be, in order for the First Amendment to be invoked, there has to be a public entity, state, federal, local level, some type of government involvement. There's no government involvement on a football field. And unless you want to make the argument that there's government subsidies in football, perhaps, maybe it's a slight argument. I really don't think it's going to stand, but my major point is this. People say, well, they should be allowed to do what they want. You have free speech. You have a right to do whatever you want to in a free country. We're still a free country. If you want to go out in the middle of the street at 2 a.m. and start screaming your lungs out, you have the absolute right to do that. Problem is, there are consequences for those rights, right? And it has nothing to do with the First Amendment, by the way. It's just your right as a human being to be able to do what you want to do. You can go out and do it, but you can also be arrested. Football players can go out and do it, but they can also lose fans. And I think this is where people get confused. I mean, I think that's what we're seeing in the protests in the streets and the riots and everything in St. Louis that we've seen in the past. People going and laying down on the freeway. You don't have a right to lay down on the freeway and break the law. You have a right to go out there and do it if you want, but again, there are consequences for doing what you're doing. And I tell people, why don't you go to work, take a knee today, and tell them the reason you're taking a knee because you're protesting and that you have a free speech right to do so. Now, after they've told you to clean out your desk and have escorted you outside after you've been fired, then maybe you'll understand what free speech means. And if it's a private company, good luck. Good luck on getting your job back. Unless there's some, employment laws that were broken or whatever, you're not going to you can't go up against a private company and say you have First Amendment rights because there is no First Amendment involvement invoked on a non-public, non-government company. And when I say public, I'm talking about something like a public college, like a UC system. That invokes the First Amendment if you're trying to speak on a publicly run college, not a private one, but a public one. So again, I think that's where people, they misunderstand. And even in your First Amendment rights, there are exceptions. And people can't understand that. There are restrictions. You can't yell fire in a theater because you feel like it. You have a First Amendment right maybe to do so and a free speech right to do so, but you can't do that. So anyway, it's amazing how the left also wants to tell you that they have free speech rights, but they don't want you on the right to exercise yours. Case in point, there was a woman that called herself Christy that was on campus in Ohio for the Students for Life rally. Now, Christy wanted to get up and tell her story about how when she was 16 with a 21-year-old boyfriend, she became pregnant and went to Planned Parenthood looking for a solution. She said that at Planned Parenthood, they told her, What's inside of you is just a blob. It's nothing. You need to take it out as fast as possible. We'll take care of it for you. And Christy had an abortion. This was back in 1972. And she was trying to tell the crowd that she became depressed. It was a horrifying experience for her. She was young and went through with the abortion. She even contemplated suicide. Now, Christy has a right to tell her story. But those around her wearing "I support Planned Parenthood, I love Planned Parenthood" t-shirts, holding signs, felt otherwise. Instead of showing Christy the respect for her free speech rights, she was quickly crowded around the podium. Those people holding the signs, "I love Planned Parenthood," and wearing the t-shirts, "I love Planned Parenthood," quickly surrounded her and started yelling over her, "My body, my choice." And so Christy wasn't given the respect that those on the left would want to have when they're saying, "My body, my choice." Christy couldn't tell her story. So it doesn't go both ways. The left, in pushing their agenda, they really feel that they have a right to stop your speech if it doesn't coincide with their speech. If you're not in agreement with what they believe, then you don't get free speech rights in their minds. Now, of course, we know that's not true, but that's the way they feel. And so it's a good example of why we need to, be aware of our rights, why we need to exercise our rights, and why we need to do so lawfully. And hopefully Christy will be able to tell her story that somebody will be able to listen to, and it will prevent somebody from getting an abortion. But not if those who love Planned Parenthood have their way. Very, very sad day that was. Now, I wanted to also talk a little bit about the election that went on in Alabama. I've had a lot of people that talk to me and say, what exactly is going on? Why did President Trump come out and support Luther Strange, instead of Roy Moore? And they have a good point. I mean, if you listen to Roy Moore, he is pro-choice. Pro-life, not pro-choice, pro-life. He's a Christian. He's the judge that demanded that the Ten Commandments. He didn't remove the Ten Commandments as they wanted him to remove them in the public place. Lost his job, doing that. And so you would think that President Trump would be right on board with him. So it was strange that he was for Luther Strange. My breakdown is this. When President Trump was at the rally in Alabama and there to support Luther Strange, he talked about how when he had called everybody else about health care, they had said, well, that sounds great and I'd love to do it, but I'd love for you first, take my family, meet them for lunch, let's have dinner, blah, 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 blah. And when it came to Luther Strange, he was the only one who said, you know what, Mr. President, you've got my back. You're the president, and you have my support. Now, we've often heard over and over again how Donald Trump is very loyal to people that are loyal to him. And I believe that. And one of the things that I think is that because Luther Strange said, you know what, I'm going to give you what you want. I'm not going to ask anything in return. And you have my vote. I think Donald Trump felt some type of an obligation to repay that loyalty. And it's not a bad thing in most cases, right? But I also think what's going on is that Mitch McConnell went to the president and said, oh, Mr. President, we're trying hard. We're going to get that health care vote. We're doing all that we can. And oh, by the way, can you vote for Luther Strange? Can you support him? Can you get out there and tell people to vote for Luther Strange? Because he's a great guy. Now, it's a little weird, too, because at the rally, President Trump said, I know that Luther Strange doesn't even know Mitch McConnell. That's a little hard to believe, but maybe that's what President Trump was told. I don't know. And obviously, even if he never met Mitch McConnell, let's say that's true. Mitch McConnell knows that he was a rhino, right? And that's what's important to Mitch McConnell, is that he gets rhinos in there, just like himself. I think what it did, in some ways, it was a little bit, and I don't think it's monumental, but a little bit of an embarrassment to the president that his own party, once again, put him in. I also have another opinion of what I think may have happened. I wrote an article at SUSANKNOWLES.com, and this was about Congressman from California, Rohrabacher. I hate to say his name. It's so hard. Why put an A after Rohrabacher, right? So anyway, I don't know if you remember, but he had gone to meet in London at the embassy, Ecuadorian embassy in London there with Julian Assange a few weeks back. Dana Rohrabacher had met with him, and supposedly Assange had said to him, hey, look, the Trump administration, had nothing to do with the Russian emails, the hacking, or anything else. And I can prove this. Now, I don't think that, I'll just call him Dana. I don't think that Dana really has seen the information. But what he wanted to do, he wanted to come back and relay that information so that, we could clear the president of any wrongdoing or the president's administration. And he wanted to say, look, if we make a deal with Assange, I think he's going to spill the beans. So, about that time, that's when Steve Bannon left, and that's when John Kelly took over as the chief of staff and Reince Priebus was out. Well, what we're learning is that before Bannon left, he used to every morning bring President Trump printouts from all the news, the conservative news websites. A couple of the websites that he used to bring to the president was the Daily Caller and Breitbart. After Bannon left, Kelly took out. This is what was being said. I didn't see it myself, but this is what's being reported. Kelly took out Breitbart and the Daily Caller, and the president no longer sees that. And according to what I've seen, there's no web browser on the president's phone, so he can't just go on the internet and bring up the Daily Caller and Breitbart. Seems funny that Kelly would pick those two newspapers, and Breitbart especially, right? Because Steve Bannon was Breitbart, and now Steve Bannon's back at Breitbart. So I think that's pretty odd. I also think, there's been a lot of talk about that the president's not able to see certain people that he used to see. He used to have, the staff used to have an ability to see him whenever they wanted to. Now, I understand, as president, you need to have some time without interruption. You need people to brief you on things so that you don't have to sit there and read through everything. And you do that when there are people that you can trust. I know the president likes to surround himself with generals, and he trusts them. And he should be able to trust them. I really do believe that. However, in doing the research that I have, like on General McMaster, I know he's a globalist. I don't trust him. General Mattis, I don't think he is. But I know with General Kelly, he loves McMaster. He supports McMaster. Leads me to believe that Kelly may be a globalist himself. And is he keeping information and people from President Trump so that President Trump doesn't know what's going on. Getting back to the Roy Moore and Luther Strange election. President Trump was saying Luther Strange was ahead in the polls. He was never ahead in the polls when President Trump was saying that. Somebody was telling President Trump that he was ahead in the polls. In my mind, somebody was lying to the president. Now, who was lying to the president? Well, my first thing is I'm looking at Kelly, because Kelly's the one, he's the gatekeeper. And he's the one that, has taken away Breitbart and Daily Caller and people like that, where he could see what was going on in the news. So the president could see what was going on in the news. Somehow the president needs to get back to getting a phone with an internet connection, okay? He needs to get back with what the people are saying, what the people are doing. And Kelly, I think, is taking him away from that. And who knows, Mitch McConnell may have also been somebody that was lying to him about what Luther Strange was doing and how well he was doing in the polls. Somebody is lying to the president. I don't like that. And it was embarrassing in some ways, I think, because, again, the president wanted people to go out and vote for Luther Strange. The people knew that Luther Strange wasn't the one that we should have on board, that he was a rhino. People knew. And that's kind of how people were spinning it in all these other groups about, that support the president. Oh, well, this is really what the president wants, but, he's just not saying it. Well, no, that's not the case. The president was lied to. Information was kept from him that he should have had. And even with the loyalty, I think if the president had known all of the information, he could have said, okay, thank you, Luther Strange, and be done with it. And the reason, people say, well, how do you know he was lied to? The reason I believe that shows me that the president was lied to was because what did the president do right after Roy Moore won the primary? He started deleting his tweets about Strange. Now, see, that's embarrassing to put the president in that position. And I think, the president, had he not felt a little embarrassed and not known that he was lied to, he would have left him up. It would have been no big deal. And, of course, now that he's done that, it's become the news of the day. I'm surprised it's not more heavily reported on, but it's being reported that he deleted those tweets about his support for Luther Strange. So, all in all, that being said, we need to get the president back in contact with us, and knowing what is going on, he needs to stay with the people. He got elected because of the populist viewpoints, the nationalist viewpoints, and he needs to continue on with that. I know he thinks that John Kelly is doing a great job, and in a lot of respects, I'm sure that he is, but he also needs to look out, and we need to look out for him and have his back. And it's going to be tough, but I think in a lot of respects, this may, in a small way, have taught the president, a little bit about who he can trust and who he can't trust. And maybe this needed to happen in something that wasn't really extremely important, although every election is important. But this is something where, the president could kind of learn a quote-unquote lesson, a small lesson here, so that when the bigger elections come up, this won't happen again. I think that he's probably starting to figure out that Mitch McConnell is going to tell him what Mitch McConnell wants him to know, and is going to try to get what Mitch McConnell gets. And I think the president is slowly but surely learning that. And again, last night may have been the deciding factor in the president figuring it out, like, okay, fooled me once, shame on you, right? Hopefully that's how the president sees this today, and that he will get the idea, we got your back, continue listening to the people, because we're continuing to help you And this is where we want to go. Rhinos are out. We need people who support you, the Constitution, the American public, on and on and on. And we're not going to keep putting these rhinos back into office. And we need the other rhinos to be gone. McConnell and Ryan, you're next. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today. I so appreciate your support and your listening. Please, if you will, share this with everyone. Until next time, God bless you. Take care of yourself. We'll see you again next week. Thanks so much. Take care.